So often people are surprised to see that I am including pasta in a course on healthy and delicious cooking. But I mean, if you're like me at all, I certainly love many types of pasta and noodles. And it's also hard to think of a cultural food tradition that doesn't have some kind of noodle dish. What we'll focus on in this session really are reminiscent of some type of pastas that you might see in traditional Italian style cooking. We'll definitely do a plant forward version of those. But you can certainly take the cooking techniques that we use in the session and apply them to other food traditions. So, you might take the peanut sauce that we cover in earlier sessions and have it with soba noodles to have more of a Japanese style dish with some Indonesian flair. You might have some rice noodles and use the techniques that we cover in the vinaigrette session and dressing session and make a chili lime vinaigrette and have something a little bit more Vietnamese in style. Oftentimes in Italian cooking, there's some sort of fat in with, a very starchy pasta. There are some healthy fats, things like olive oil, but, oftentimes there's cream, butter, lardons, which are pieces of pork or bacon fat. And, certainly we're going to not use as much of that. We're going to aim for using more healthy fats. We'll put a lot more vegetables in dishes that might not have so many. And it's also important to think about not just the pasta itself, but how can you make the overall meal more healthful and satisfying to the palate, and also to help you meet your health goals. So, think having a salad beforehand, really amping up those veggies beforehand, especially if you're not someone that likes them mixed in as much with the pasta. You might have a variety of other dishes, maybe a fruit dessert. You can have a reasonable portion of something that might be a little heavier, but just think about balancing it out with the rest of the meal. This is also a great place for the protein flip that we've talked about previously. So, having if you're someone who's still having, meats or, other animal-based proteins in your diet, then having just a couple of ounces in a pasta dish is really satisfying. And if you're, totally plant-based, then pasta dishes are very, very easy to do that way. We do incorporate some white beans and a lot of nuts and seeds and things in our sauces and as ingredients in our pasta dishes to amp up the protein in ways that are plant-based as well. Another thing I want to mention is the types of pasta that we'll use. So we will show how to cook, traditional wheat pasta, which is not as unhealthful as a lot of people might think. If you have your choice between white bread, white rice, or pasta, it's certainly better in terms of your blood sugar to actually have the pasta, assuming that you're cooking it al dente, which means there's still a little bit of chew or texture to it. Then it doesn't affect the blood sugar quite as much as some of those those other refined grains. But we'll also show you how to cook with whole wheat pasta. We'll do some high protein pastas and some bean-based pastas. We'll do a gluten-free pasta. And there are some tips and tricks with each of those to make sure you're getting the tastiest, most flavorful outcome. Because if you've tried, incorporating those in your meals before and, you haven't gotten it quite right, then you may, benefit from some of these tips. I promise everything that we're including is a really tasty dish, and I hope you take a lot away from the tips that we give.